Welcome to Brian and Ben's Barbecue and Bourbon podcast. Today on the podcast we have Marc Randall, and he's going to be joining us. He is actually our first guest on the show. Yep. It's great to have you, Marc.
I'm honored to be the first guest here.
I'm excited, for sure.
So, for those of you that haven't listened to the podcast, we talk about everything barbecue and bourbon. Today we got 3 different bourbons. The first one we're starting out with, Brian, do you want to talk about this one?
So, I must have spent probably an hour at the liquor store trying to find the right bourbon for this. And what I wanted to do is try to get a low-end bourbon, a medium, and then a high-end bourbon. And, of course, Ben and I are kind of, we were turned on to this bourbon called Widow Jane. It originally started about $60 for 750 mil. It's up to like $75. So I kind of said, you know what, we've done that before.
Well, when it was like $60, we were drinking that every weekend for months. And months.
Stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
I will give you that. The stuff is amazing. But to try to get something, I guess, a little different. So the guy that owns the liquor store, Tom, he comes up to me. You got to try this Penelope. And originally he pointed me towards this. What is it? Penelope Barrel Strength. The Penelope Barrel Strength is an $80 bottle of bourbon. The Penelope Bourbon Straight Bourbon Whiskey is about half that. So it's probably a $40 bottle of bourbon. So in any case, so my original thought was that we compare these two, but then Ben bought this gasoline called Courage.
I didn't buy it. It was a gift.
You brought
it. It was a good gift.
You brought the Courage, and it's.
Well, let's start off with this first, Penelope.
Yeah, let's start with it.
It comes in at 80 proof, and it's got this nice white label. Let's see.
What are we drinking right now?
Penelope.
Okay, good.
The white stuff here. So it says 4 grains. We got corn, rye, wheat, and malted barley. Pretty good stuff so far. All right, Brian. So we had a good brisket for dinner tonight. Do you want to touch on how you did that, kind of what your approach was?
Sure. So it's my typical brisket. It's I started this one around 11 p.m. last night. And actually the temperature alarm went off at 5 a.m. Woke me up and I said, this is way too early. I'm at 150 degrees at like 5 a.m.
And when did you put it in again?
11 p.m. the night before. So it hit 150 probably a little quicker than I thought. So I made the executive decision. I'm just going to let it ride through this 150. And it was what they call the stall. I don't know if you know what the stall is, but it's the point where the brisket will elevate in temperature. Then it will hit this point with your smoker that it will come into an equilibrium. And then it will stay that temperature until you kind of jack the heat up. Mm-hmm. So for 2 hours, it stayed at this 150 degrees. At 7 a.m., I pulled it off. It was like a hockey puck. And I was like, I just ruined this thing. And I was like, literally, I'm getting ready to bring out a couple of fillets, marinate them as a substitute for the brisket because I didn't think it would turn out. But in any case, so at 7 a.m., I wrapped it, put it back on the smoker, jacked the temperature up to 225, and just kind of watched it. And it's like, you know what? If it doesn't turn out, it doesn't turn out. It'll take me like an hour to do steaks if I needed to.
So you typically wrap it at that 8-hour period, right?
Well, yeah. As soon as it hits 150 degrees, 160 degrees, I'll wrap it.
What do you wrap it in foil or butcher paper? What's your technique?
So I've done both. My preference is foil, and the reason being is foil gives me a much darker, more crusty bark. Paper is a little more soggy. Not real soggy, but just a little more soggy.
Yeah, I agree, but I think that the foil retains the juices a lot more because with the paper in the past, it's drier. Not that it's not good still, but you get a better flavor.
I've always had better luck with the foil.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my go-to. Now, I was contemplating doing paper. I've got plenty of paper up there, and that stuff's not cheap.
No, it's expensive.
It's expensive.
And I'm cheap, so I use foil, but the purists I know kind of say that's not the way to go. But it sounds like a pro like you. And what I tasted tonight was delicious.
All foil.
So
all foil.
I think the foil is the right answer.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that's probably my go-to is the foil. Like I've tried paper a couple times, and I'm saying I was not happy with it. It's just the foil I think just tastes better. But I was sweating bullets there for a little bit. I was like, this brisket's gonna suck. it's like and I kept going back to it one time.
So when you're talking about a hockey puck, is it just immobile? Like when you're pulling it off, like
I could hold the point, and the flat would not bend.
Really?
It was
because it was so tender when we were eating it later.
I could hold the point, the flat stayed straight out. And I mean, it was like, if you remember, Corinne had bought a 5-pound brisket way back when. She was going to do it in a crock pot. So I said, you know what, let me try this in the smoker. And I did it, and I didn't account for the difference in weight, because usually I'm used to doing like 15, 20-pound briskets. 5-pound is a completely different ballgame. Yeah. And it came out like a hockey puck. So that's what I was...
like dried out roast beef.
It was horrible. It was freaking horrible. So that's what I was fearing with this one. When I first pulled it off at that 150-degree mark, it's like, this ain't good. And I told him, man, I was like, I don't know, we may have to rethink our menu for this evening. But I pushed through it, and it seems like it's...
So what time did it wrap up again? Like, what time did you pull it off?
So I pulled it off the smoker about noon, maybe 12:30. It stayed in that cooler for 5 hours. And what I did was, like, it hit the cooler at 205 degrees. I put temperature probes in it, and I shut the cooler, lined it with like towels just to kind of keep that heat in. And I just watched it, and it was dropping about 5 to 10 degrees per hour. So right when it hit like about 140, I was like, and I think, and this is where we lost power. So our oven clock was off like about a half an hour. So I'm thinking I had like 45 minutes to kill. Like, so I got plenty of time. And like Amanda's like, no. It's like, it's almost 6 o'clock. They're about here. It's like, okay, I better jump on it. But in any case, so,
to warm it up on the fire.
Well, so that's the thing. It's like, you can let it, like, what I found out, and like knowing or thinking that I screwed this up, I was trying to find ways, how can I recover this? So I was spending a lot of time on YouTube, and basically, you pull it off at like 205, throw it in a cooler, wrap it in towels, let it drop down. I'm monitoring the temperature the whole time, and it's like,
it wasn't still feeling solid at 205, or that was before.
Well, it's in the foil at that point, so it's hard to tell.
No, it was great already at that point. I bet
I'm sure it was.
I'm gonna put you on the spot, Mark. 1 to 10. What do you think of his brisket tonight?
Honestly.
So I'm going to answer that honestly, but I've been thinking this whole time whether I should be interjecting and if that would be ruining your podcast.
Not at all.
Or if maybe what if we did 2 recordings? We've started with this.
Your honest opinion?
This is pretty straightforward so far. You guys have been we're on your game.
We're
and then we'll do a second one where I'm like, I can just be me, well, and then you can cut that stuff out.
No, I'm good with you.
Because you already told me in the pre-podcast show, in the preamble, to watch my language, because both of you are much more thoughtful about that sort of thing than me.
Mean, I
think it's even.
If it happens,
we're more thoughtful because it's online at this point.
Yeah, we're gonna bleep it.
And our pastor's listening to this. So.
Is he
He's
the one?
He's a bourbon guy, though.
He is a bourbon guy.
Yeah. So 1 to 10. I don't know how to do a 1 to 10, but I loved it. I would say it was great, and the rub you used tasted great.
That was what is his name?
Malcolm
Reeves Hot Rub.
All right, so
we call him Fat Guy. The man has sausage fingers.
Is Fat Guy an official sponsor of the podcast?
He's not an official sponsor, but that's what we call him.
We're moving that direction.
I think he should be. I mean,
it'll be right after Train sponsors it. Yes. Yeah, that'll be our second sponsor.
Yeah. Fat Guy and Train.
I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic, and it paired perfectly with your family's famous salad recipe and your famous potato recipe.
The potatoes are excellent.
Yes. So I noticed, I looked around afterwards, I ate the whole potato, the skin, everything. And then I noticed some other people did not. And then I thought to myself, I don't know you guys that well. Was that was that weird? Do you not eat it? Did you not wash it and I wasn't supposed to?
Some people don't like the skins.
Right.
I love the skins.
Okay, so you were fine with me doing
I'm
that.
fine with eating the skins. Like,
did you eat the skin?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I have in the past, but I came off a pretty big lunch today.
I always eat the skins. In fact, up there...
Were you drinking at lunch? Or you?
Oh, yeah.
So you're on round 2 right now.
4 beers deep, but I've leveled off and I'm good, like...
Man, you came in smooth. Like, when I come in after a Christmas party and I'm pretending I wasn't at a Christmas party drinking... Yeah. Like, everyone knows. Yeah. I'm crashed on the couch, asleep, I'm drooling. You're like, yo, I'm cool, nothing, no problem.
Well, I'm 25, it helps.
Yeah.
For sure.
What are you saying?
He's got a liver that can metastasize the
So
alcohol.
once you're 40 and over, it changes.
Yep, your liver
the processing's a little bit quicker,
How about...
I wasn't going hard. It was just like a couple beers.
Yeah, well, hey.
It's not like these guys. I mean, this is like 2 beers and one little shot.
No, you got this pretty... You got a shot in it. See, I can't find our shot cup.
You do it by eyeball. Brian and I are so
Do you know
old.
about these?
No.
So
this glass?
The Glencairn glasses. I can't
okay.
talk. When you turn them on the side, the shot is all the way to the edge
to the rim.
Of the rim.
It will not leak out.
So that is how you know you have enough.
This is a great glass.
Yeah,
now you
awesome.
would you put an ice cube in this glass, or you'd use a different glass?
I would use a different glass. We have before, but
we use like if we're going to put ice or water in it, we'll use the what do they call those? It's the big round mouth.
I don't know.
It's almost like a cocktail glass.
Yeah, I mean like a bourbon.
Like a bourbon glass.
Yeah.
They call this a Glencairn, where literally the amount that you pour in will come right to the rim.
And then it's channeled for smelling. Yeah. So you're supposed to take a little whiff.
You get a good, and you only do it on one nostril.
What?
Don't do it on both.
Why?
Because you'll get overwhelmed.
I'm not overwhelmed. I'm fine.
I'm saying you'll get. I'm not saying
dude, I'm loving it. Like,
are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine with 2 nostrils. You're trying to mix 50% air with...
Yes, 50-50.
This is what happens when you drink with an engineer.
Yes, exactly. Don't ever drink with an engineer.
40% air through the left nostril.
Increased airflow.
And we're metering this air. Now, we can go into economizer mode where we're way out here with the bourbon.
If you've got a detached septum, the whole thing is off.
That's right. But that's the idea. It's like one nostril... You got to get a good, And what I haven't been able to figure out yet is like being able to tell like the notes. Like this one, I did some research on the Penelope. Caramel, yes.
Yep. Is that true?
Yes, very much true. Yeah, caramel.
I've never talked about bourbon in that way, but I felt it.
Yeah, so if you smell it and you get the note, it's like the first, and it changes. It changes as you drink it because your taste buds, or the anatomy. I wouldn't say the anatomy. The way you perceive the bourbon changes as the more time you drink it. So the original note is like I get a heavy thing of caramel, a little bit of
rubbing alcohol.
I do get a little bit of the corn.
Yeah, a little bit of corn.
Some bottles will tell you like the percentage that they're putting in there. I
think with bourbon, the percent has to be
50, right?
It has to be exact, right? So that's what makes it bourbon, which is so unusual about this middle bottle that's so light to me. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Well, this is 57.
It's a single malt, so I don't know.
That stuff's
This is
harsh.
a strange color for a bourbon.
Oh, wait till you hit it once.
Like Scotch seems to have a wider variation in the color you see, but this is like this looks dangerous.
Don't let the color fool you on that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it's
like this one. By looking at it, the Penelope barrel strength
it's dark.
Yeah, it's very dark. I think that would hit a lot harder, but I guarantee you this will hit harder than that.
Yeah, this looks like it's gonna taste great though. Yeah. I don't know why.
This one, the Penelope barrel strength, was highly recommended by the guy that owns this liquor store.
I'm
really
dropping
trashing my
that
bottle
little thing over here.
No, it's all good.
Look at that cool coin.
Can you get that coin? That's at your feet. You guys are going to be doing a lot of cutting.
No, this is all good. This is good stuff.
Flip that, see if we're going to kick him off
That's
the
right.
podcast.
No, this is all good.
Is that how you do it? You flip the coin? And
That's right, This is our first guest. We can't drive him away.
No.
It's like, I'm hoping,
I'm loving it.
Hopefully you're a returning guest.
Let's see how if you guys get your users up a little. So get back
to the bourbon, though.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this one right here, the Penelope White?
I like it. It's not overpowering at all. I mean, compared to this.
We haven't done that yet.
We haven't done that one yet.
You have.
He's had a little bit of it.
This one's last.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe last.
I don't think you. Well,
I don't want to ruin the taste of this one.
That's true.
I'm thinking this. Point. I'm thinking the barrel strength Penelope is probably the higher end.
So, let's wrap that brisket up.
Okay.
So you had talked about the 100 ways to screw up a brisket. What were some of the ways you think that you might have contributed to ruining the brisket?
So it was an hour-long podcast. I probably slept through 40 minutes of it.
Yeah.
So a couple of things that I did wrong was...
it wasn't wrong. It was excellent.
A couple of things that, the way... So my choice of brisket was not right. So I think what I got was a prime.
Okay.
Not the... There's 4 levels.
Is it a fat content that makes it different?
So this one didn't really have a whole lot of fat. And I trimmed a lot of the hard fat, the stuff that won't render. I trim all that out. That had to be about maybe 3 to 4 pounds worth of weight. So I started out with a 13-pound brisket. I ended up with probably a 9-pound brisket when I'm throwing it on the grill. And then, of course, I threw it on there 11 p.m. last night. I got up at 5. My alarm's going off saying it's 150 degrees.
Just you've already covered this material. Yeah. The whole 5 o'clock, the alarm, the emergency, you panic.
Okay,
we'll cut it out, right?
We'll
cut it out. Okay.
No, you can cut that, but do not cut me criticizing you for repeating it.
No, we'll leave all this in.
That's the important part of this.
I'm sorry for the repetitive nature of
all
podcast.
right, so you woke up at 5.
Yeah.
You should have been up anyway working at 5.
I was. So in any case, I chose to leave it on there another 2 hours because that guy says 8 hours.
Yeah.
He says you leave it on the smoker 8 hours. You don't touch it. You just leave it. It was at 150. It plateaued at 150. It would not go up. Pulled it off, wrapped it, threw it back on, put the temperature up. He said 250. I put it at 225. It finished up around like 11 p.m. I was already at like 205. So I pulled it off, put it in a cooler, wrapped in towels, put thermometers in it, and literally let it rest until it hit 140 degrees. And once it hit 140, then I put it in the oven just to kind of keep it warm. Mm-hmm. But it was only in the oven probably about 15, 20 minutes until you guys
right, because you had the whole debacle with the clocks. Right. While the rest of the world has shifted to these tiny computers in our pocket that keep the time right.
I'm looking at an oven.
You're looking at an oven clock that doesn't...
Thinking I have plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of time.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm very much against iPhones. I think anybody that has an iPhone is probably a part of the occult. But no, I'm just joking.
Yeah, this is not sponsored by Apple.
It's not sponsored by
definitely not. Mark, do you make brisket at all?
I love it. Yeah, I have a Traeger, and I'm learning. You learn every time, and you watch it. The cool thing is you're watching on YouTube, and you could watch 20 different people, and they all have their perfect method, which means you can figure out your own, right?
I think it's really
what works for you, and it's a personal preference.
And it has a lot to do with your setup, too. Yeah. There's so many ways to do it. Like, we got a friend that does them in 4 to 6 hours, and he runs it hot and heavy.
He runs it 350
it turns
degrees.
out great. You think it would be chewy, but by the time he's done, it's pretty good.
But he's a PhD, so he's got a scientific knowledge of it.
The thing is, it is science. It's a little chemistry. It's a little... The funny thing about brisket, I'm going to make up a number here because I don't know it, but like I read this thing that rated, if you look at the different cuts of meat on a cow, brisket's like the 97th worst cut of a cow.
The toughest.
It's like the worst thing you can get. And then it just turns out that because of science, it's the best when you cook it forever.
So you want to hear the science behind it? Yeah. So this was part of that.
I don't want to hear, but I think the listeners
would
like
the listeners would like to hear the science. So the science is behind brisket is the reason why it's tough is there's a ton of collagen. So the collagen is what binds the muscle fibers together. Unless you render those out, the brisket will not be tender. It'll be tough. The temperature to render those out is 203 degrees. Now, you could do 203 degrees for 5 minutes, or you could do 180 degrees for 2 hours. It will still render out that collagen to make it nice and tender. So when you taste a tough brisket, they haven't rendered the collagen out, and that's probably the biggest thing to do. Now you have so the brisket has this bottom cap of fat. On a Traeger grill, the pellet grill, you always want to keep fat side down. On an offset, you always want to keep fat side up, and it's always about the direction of heat. So on an offset, the heat is coming from the top. On a pellet grill, the heat's coming from the bottom. So that fat is an insulating layer to the meat that allows it to cook longer without burning or getting really tough. So that's the one thing I did learn is, and it's weird. If you look at like the way the guy explained it to me, is he took like a blow up of a couple muscle fibers, and then in between those muscle fibers are the collagen. You got to render that out before it becomes pliable and tender.
I've had that experience with like roasts,
right?
Where it just wasn't in there long enough, and it tasted okay, but you were just
tough.
Gnawing at it.
Yep, and that's what you're gnawing at. You're gnawing at the collagen in it. Now the collagen will render out as a gelatin, so you won't be able to actually feel the consistency of it. But I don't know. For some reason, this one actually turned out. It surprised me. This one turned out really well.
Well, you guys ready to move on to this next bottle?
Sure.
I thought the first one was the warm up too, and then this would count it as the final.
So this is the warm up.
Do you rate it or anything? So you said you tasted some caramel flavors. Do you like it or you don't like it?
So rate this one compared to what we've drank in the past.
I like how sweet it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good. It has enough bite. Like, I personally like a little bit more strength, a little bit more bite. So it has sweetness and a little bit of a bite compared to like a Maker's Mark where it's just kind of sweet.
Right.
So that's what I like about it. I'd say it comes in middle of the road, middle of the pack for a lot of the ones.
Yep.
I'd say it's average.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does it compare to like a Maker's Mark? You think it's
better. I'm taking this over Maker's Mark for sure. I would put it, somewhere around, maybe a little bit under Woodford.
Okay.
That's
so you're
my
just slightly
opinion.
under Woodford, double or single?
Just a straight. Now the double was better, I feel like, than this, but that's my opinion.
Widow Jane compared?
Widow Jane knocks, that's way up there
another
compared to this Penelope, but it's still really good.
Okay.
What do you think, Mark?
I would rank it in the same way you did between Woodford. I'm not a big fan of Maker's Mark, but I will drink that in a Manhattan or something that's like spiced up a little bit. But this was interesting to me because I did not love the first sip. Mm-hmm. Maybe I was recovering from the brisket still, but it really grew on me. So I think what did you say? Your taste buds are... they get
desensitized.
My
basically.
desensitized taste buds are enjoying this. So I would 100% drink this whole bottle.
Is that right?
Not at once
tonight,
but if it was in my house, like I would.
But it's not something you throw in the trash.
No. Okay. I like it, but
okay.
The difference from my first sip till finishing this was like significant,
That's
which
awesome.
is kind of surprised me. So I like it.
Yeah.
And it was inexpensive, you said, right?
It was.
It's all inexpensive because I didn't buy any of this. I just showed up.
That's right. You just showed up. So this was 30. This was 70. Not really sure how much.
Since this is a podcast, when you're saying this,
I'm sorry. The Penelope. Yeah, I guess I should say. So the Penelope Bourbon Straight Bourbon Whiskey, proof 50. Does that say 50? Can't read it.
It is 80 proof.
80
40
proof.
On volume.
Okay.
Now this next bottle is quite a step up. We're looking at how much you got on there, Brian?
So it's Penelope Bourbon Barrel Strength Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
Barrel strength.
It's 115 proof.
Yeah.
So it's 57.5%.
So we are going up a lot.
We're going up
17% on this one. So,
but this one, so the original, the Penelope White label, the 40% alcohol. What is it? 40% ALC. $35. This was $70. The 115 proof, 57.5 ALC.
And this is barrel strength.
Barrel strength.
Which is different than single barrel.
Right. So you have single barrel, you have barrel strength, you have double strength or double barrel. So what I'm usually used to with double barrel is the Woodford. Like, I love that. That's like my go-to. Of course, they didn't have. They were all out of that, but this was highly recommended. So I'll go by Tom's at Madonna Liquors. I'll post a link in the podcast.
Oh, the sound of
Nice.
that. Now, are you purists? Are we rinsing these glasses, or we're just?
We should rinse.
It wouldn't hurt. You want me to go get a little pitcher and bowl?
Yeah.
We'll just cut this section out, or you can talk crap about it.
Yeah, we talk crap.
So Ben. So let him leave real quick.
Do your listeners know the two of you are related, or you don't go into that level of detail?
I don't think we have. So just
Definitely have.
so for our listeners, Ben had married my daughter, so that makes him my son-in-law. He had actually asked for my permission with a bottle of Blanton's, which was a non-deniable yes, go ahead. It's the bottle of Blanton, and actually, honestly, it took us almost a year to get through that entire bottle because I didn't want to waste it. So we only drank it on special occasions.
But you drank it together.
We drank it together. Yes.
I mean, that's pretty spectacular. You think about how, I don't know what percentage of dads and son-in-laws want to drink a bottle of bourbon together, but that's really a gift.
Yeah, and it's no joke. I mean, Ben's a top-notch guy. I mean, to be honest, him working at Fidelity was really, it was more of an act of God. I mean, he was here at the right time. We were literally, Carmen, I was given, so we have about 5 acres of woods that about every year we're probably harvesting about 3 trees that have died. So we'll go ahead and buck them, we'll cut them up, and that's what we burn wood throughout the winter.
What's buck them? That's a term I don't know.
So bucking. So what we do. So you have this log. This say 100 feet long.
Yeah. Is it down or it's still up and you got to take it down?
It depends. So I will pay somebody to get it down. They call it felling a tree.
Yeah, because you don't want to kill yourself.
I don't want to kill myself.
Right.
And honestly, I've done it twice.
Yeah.
The first.
Not killed yourself twice.
Not killed myself twice.
Felled twice.
I felled 2 trees. The first one went like textbook.
Yeah.
Literally, I set up a cone and then hit the cone.
Yeah.
The second one turned 90 degrees and fell.
Yep.
And granted, it was far away from the house, but from that point on, I was like, you know what? I'm going to pay somebody $300-400 just to get it on the ground.
Right.
Once they get it on the ground, what I'll do is I'll buck it into 64-inch logs.
That's what bucking is. That's where you cut it into the logs.
Right.
Okay.
So a 64-inch log will give you 4 16-inch pieces, and the 16-inch pieces are what goes in the fireplace.
Yeah.
So we'll buck it into 64-inch logs. I'll take them up with the tractor, drop them off. Then at a later date, we'll go ahead and buck them into 16s and then split them. And then
Am I
they go in
supposed
there.
to rinse this?
That's how I was doing
process. You guys are so official.
This is no joke.
Another thing that we should acknowledge and cut from the podcast is, so I came over here with my wife, who hasn't met any of you guys.
Correct.
And now I'm down here drinking bourbon, and she's upstairs with
My wife.
your wives, both of your wives, watching rom-com Christmas movies.
And Willow really likes her.
Yes.
Willow is all over.
And the
up
dog.
there.
The dog's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, she
Willow's
is great.
amazing. The question is, will my marriage survive this situation?
It will.
And I don't think anybody knows.
So our marriages have survived through 3 podcasts.
Yeah,
You're
but
number 4.
No.
you guys.
This is my first one being married.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
The next toast is that.
I mean, that's why it's taken
Do
so
I
long to
this
get
one,
back
or
around
that
to this.
was, yeah, let's do this.
This is your first married one?
You're in the honeymoon phase.
It was like March or May or something.
Is that right?
Yeah, that was the
poured
last
too much.
podcast.
Dude, I'm sorry. I gotta.
You're good. You're
just
good.
drink it.
Just drink it.
All right, but it's not official till I get to the
Well,
single
tilted.
shot.
I think you're close.
I'm not close, man.
You're close.
No.
I'm over a little bit. It's hard to tell.
Smells like fire. It looks great.
I think you're good.
Hey, cheers. Thank you both.
No problem. Thank you.
There we go.
See, look at mine. That was by eye.
115.
You're such an alcoholic.
I am.
All right.
Man, this is so much stronger.
Yeah, it is.
Whew. It like burns a nostril.
Because you're only doing one. You got to
dilute
it with two
You
nostrils.
got a double barrel.
Barrel.
Single barreled it, and it's like still strong. Wow.
It's funny you mentioned the septum. I have a deviated septum, so I don't think I get as much airflow. Sometimes I start whistling.
And he whistles in the key of D. Wow, that hits a lot harder.
Yeah, it's a lot more bite.
So, since it's a podcast and no one can see us, do you guys discuss these? We're all drinking these neat. None of us have had any water or
Correct.
ice in it.
Well, it's good that you're mentioning that, just in case they didn't know. So, and we're drinking them out of Glencairns, so to try to get the full effect of we're trying to get a good nose on the whiskey,
Which is a fabulous glass. I've never used this, but
this is how you drink bourbon neat. It's like ice doesn't like if you want to drink it with ice or watered down, then you use one of those larger. I don't even know what they call those. It's
a rocks glass, or
pretty much like a rocks glass.
So I would typically drink whiskey with an ice cube or two.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways, I wonder if this would be better with an ice cube. Not that I'm not suggesting we do, but sometimes
we've ran into
a drip
that.
Of water would like really bring out.
There's something. What did we have? That was maybe it was the 13 year.
Yeah, the 13 year. Yeah.
Some of the higher. How old is this?
This is 83.
Okay, so this is only 4 to 5 years.
What's that say?
4 to 5 years
Okay,
there.
okay.
No, but some of the higher octane stuff, it is nice to have a cube.
Yeah, so there's a 10-year-old. So I was turned on the Widow Jane by, I can't even remember who.
It was probably the guy at the shop, right? Or was it Craig?
I think it was Craig. So our
sure?
friend Craig White.
Because he got you in the double oaked.
He got me in a double oak, but then he turned me on the Widow Jane.
Okay.
So I went to our local liquor store up here in Madonna Liquors, I think is what they call them. So I asked him about, do you carry Widow Jane? He says, no, but I think I can get it. So he went and ordered 6 750 ml bottles. Literally in 2 days they were gone, and they were that much
like
of
before
a
you got back.
Yeah. So I had him order some more. So he did. And this is a 10-year bottle of Widow Jane.
He bought both of them.
I bought both of them. Yes. So then
he didn't mention that, but
no. So then I asked him. I said they have a 10-year or a 13-year bottle of Widow Jane that they say is so much better. I disagree. It's like it was so much stronger. So he put 6 of those on the shelf, and they were up there quite a long time.
Yeah.
So I drank one bottle of that, and it was like, I don't know. I don't like this.
And we kind of came to the conclusion that like the age doesn't really always make it better, you know.
No.
Like that's our experience.
And it was a $40 difference in bourbon. It's like the original 10-year was like $69. I'm sorry, $30. The 13-year was $99. So what Mark's holding right now is the Penelope. I'll say it's the expensive Penelope. That was
Barrel straight.
$75.
Batch 83. Char, is that an S? Char S or 5? Do you know what that means?
Looks like a 5.
Char 5 toast.
Maybe it's
red. This is a much darker color than.
Oh yeah.
I think this is good too, though. I don't think it's.
I like it. But look at the color, like in the Glencairn, compared to this. It's about the same.
No.
No, you're blind. You are blind.
Put it in front of the light. Man, this is completely different.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
This looks like tequila.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Courage,
I'm sorry.
Courage and Conviction, which is
my
the one
bad.
It's actually from Virginia, I think, which I don't know why they label it bourbon at that point.
Yeah, that's...
It can be.
I think it has to be from Kentucky to actually be bourbon.
Does it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we talked about this in
we've
the first
talked
couple
about this
episodes.
before.
In a virgin barrel.
I might be
in Kentucky.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know.
Probably misadvertising right now. Oh no, it says source from Kentucky and Virginia's varied climate, but it's not saying about where it's produced.
As long as
it says
it's sourced.
vadistillery.com. Distilled and bottled by Virginia Distillery, Livingston, VA. So
This sounds like a loophole where they're
are they closing
the
on
Kentucky water, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. I want to go to Buffalo Trace's distillery.
Yeah.
That's like,
if your son makes it out there for the Army,
so just to,
we'll be there.
Yes. So my son's coming back from an unknown location in the Army to an unknown location near Buffalo Trace Distillery. So hopefully they have this thing called a whiskey row, whiskey trail.
Yeah,
I've heard the Bourbon Trail.
The Bourbon Trail, I've heard a lot about that. There's a guy at work
Buffalo
that
Trace,
keeps
you
talking
have
about it.
Blanton's, you have all these other distilleries. Maker's Mark. So, and this is, I don't know if you know this, but we've acquired several companies down in that area. They all do distilleries. So, a couple of our acquisitions are doing stuff for like Maker's Mark, and I don't know that they're doing anything for Buffalo Trace yet, but so
It's got to be hard to get that contract.
Well, it's that, and I can't really offer that much assistance because I'm not, I don't know a lot about distilleries or that kind of process, HVAC or whatever. But in any case, so
well, where the barrels are, there is no heating and air conditioning. I mean, that's the whole point.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's the seasonal changes that makes bourbon in Kentucky so special.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all the process.
Pretty special air conditioning right there.
Yeah, it's a whole nother facet of mechanical engineering. I'll say that. But in any case, so I would like to go down there and do the Bourbon Trail is what they call it, and of course Maker's Mark has a area, Buffalo Trace has an area, and it's like all these other like top notch bourbon distilleries have their mark on that trail. So in any case, so that's my plug.
A rich history in that area for 100, all the way through Prohibition. They were trying to do things. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So so that's that. So what's your thoughts on the Penelope? What do we call
Barrel
it?
strength is
strength.
what's on the label there. I'm gonna say I kind of like the cheaper bottle.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's not bad, and it'll get you there quicker.
This hits a little hard.
Yeah, but I like the white labeled one a little bit more.
What would you compare this to Angel's Envy? Wow, that hits really hard.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Angel's Envy is so sweet and smooth.
And it's about the same price point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking Angel's Envy. Like if I put Angel's Envy at 8.5, and I would put that about a 5.5 is how I feel about it personally.
That's why we don't have any more Angel's Envy in our cabinet.
Yeah. Didn't last long.
Didn't last long. How about you, Mark? What do you think?
I prefer the first one as well.
Okay.
And I generally don't need a barrel strength bourbon. My experience is that I'm out with some people and we're at a bar and everything's great. We're drinking, we're having fun, and then some knucklehead in the group thinks that we gotta like up the alcohol content to have, and that ruins the night. Like you don't need that. I don't. The extra it does nothing for me.
I agree.
Me, it's more about the flavor. And I thought the first one was better. And since I poured too much, now I'm stuck. I gotta finish this.
You don't have to.
See if Uber even comes out to this part of town.
They don't.
Because we are really in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we'll have to drive you home. Or at least get you to the Beltway.
You know, if you could just get us to the Beltway. You know, it's funny. We're pulling in, and I'm thinking this could be it for us because we turn up your drive, and I'm like, Abigail, pull out the directions, and it says something like go down the lane about a half a mile. Quarter mile. It said half, and I'm like, the GPS says quarter, but he doesn't know. He is an engineer, but not that precise.
I'm pretty sure I said quarter.
But
because I was going to say a third, but I didn't want to. That's not truthful.
It was exactly a quarter mile, but it's not a lane. Right. It's a rock. It's a dirt road. And it's the kind of dirt road you get to the end, and if you get to a house that's not the one you mean to go to, chances are
last house you see,
it's not ending well. So I'm thinking like we're either gonna have some brisket or this is it. And thankfully it was your house. Yeah. And here we are.
Well, you got my clue is the gray house on the right.
Well, it was pretty dark out, so I'm like, is it gray? Is it gray?
I put the lights on.
It worked out fine, and the directions were fine, but it is it's a treacherous ride here.
Good thing
Twists
you brought
and
the truck.
turns, and you need a 4-wheel drive
you really
to get
do.
up the lane.
Yes.
It's not a lane. It's a dirt road.
Like you haven't seen our garage where we've got a Kubota. What do they call it?
We're gonna drive that
RTV?
tonight, right?
No, we got a Kubota RTV, but then we have a Kubota. What do they call it? It's the bucket with a backhoe.
I mean, it is a backhoe at that point.
Yeah, it's a backhoe. And then we have a Cub Cadet. That thing with a plow on it and chains, it'll handle up to 6 inches of snow. Anything above that, then we're bringing out the Kubota.
How many acres are you on here?
So we're on 5. My neighbor's on 5. Our neighbors to the south are on 2.5, and then the neighbors on the right of that, which they can't perk. They're 2.5 as well. So that's going to probably be unoccupied property. But I mean, for us, it takes to clear the snow like it's about 1 inch per hour of snow removal. So when we got hit with that, when we first moved here, we were here about 3 or 4 years. I get the bright idea to buy a 110-pound Italian Mastiff because I got the itch, So I did, but it took us that we got 30 inches of snowfall. It took us 30 hours on that tractor to get it cleared. It was ridiculous.
Did you consider just waiting for it to melt? Because here in Baltimore, things don't stay frozen that long.
Up here, it does.
What do you mean up here does?
Well, because nobody treats the roads.
No, I know, but the weather. I mean, to me, Baltimore
is a week or two though.
Yeah,
It's not like Chicago.
Yeah, where it lasts till the spring.
Yeah,
here you got a pretty good shot.
White in the fall, and
you got a 50% shot. It melts tomorrow, and we've had a couple storms like single digits since I moved in 2003, where if you did the weighted out strategy, you really would have been in trouble. Yep. But most of the time, but that's why you have all this bourbon to drink.
Exactly, and we have all the tractors out there that we drink the bourbon, we drive the tractors.
Oh, how about guns? Do people shoot guns?
We have guns. We have guns. In fact, we have a whole rifle range right outside our house.
Are we doing that? Is that after the podcast?
That's on the next episode.
Just got here earlier.
Yeah, that's on the next episode. I just saw all your pumpkins out there.
Yeah, I lined them up because I've been meaning to shoot.
Yeah, so like he always brings his shotgun up, and like the last time we shot, we were just shooting 22. But you brought your shot, and like I go out there a couple days ago, and I see all these pumpkins lined up to shoot. I was like, wow, they're not shot up yet.
No, it's very tempting. Yeah, Corinne bought like a bunch of pumpkins during the fall, and I was like, man, they're going to be great targets here in a couple weeks.
So what we do is our property borders a farm. The farm is owned by a guy by the name of Kinsley, who has passed away, but in getting to
Kinsley Construction.
Yeah, Kinsley Construction. Bob Kinsley. So he passed away, unfortunately. Nice guy. When we first moved up here, he would do these horse and hound. I was out there splitting wood, and I had 100 hounds around me all of a sudden, and they would do these fox hunts basically. So and everybody's in their in their period gear, period clothing, whatever, and these white hounds everywhere. Such a cool thing to see. So I got to know him with that. So Unfortunately, he passed away. But in any case, so he allowed us to be able to, to walk the trails, the horse trails or whatever.
So that's a big property.
He's got
big,
probably 100 plus acres behind ours. But it's got about, I think I mapped it out. It's got about 5 miles of horse trails. You can literally walk. You can walk. You can go out the property, hang a left, go all the way down to the cow fence.
Streams all through the bottom. It's really
little
pretty.
gunpowder that separates Harford County from Baltimore County. You can cross that. It's literally about 5 miles of horse trails that you can just sit there and hike. And it's right here. So in any case, so what we'll do...
So he flies his drone.
So I'll fly my drone.
Instead of walking and hiking.
But what I was saying about the drone is when we're out there shooting, what I'm really fearful of is people on horseback. Because there's a lot of people that come back, up and down on horseback.
Yeah.
So setting a drone out there while we're shooting, just to keep an eye out on what traffic we're getting, and then say, hey, stop shooting, let them pass. It's that kind of thing.
It's not that often.
It's not that often, but it is a fear of mine.
Yeah.
So in any case, so that's what we've been doing, is just throwing a drone out there and just kind of keeping an eye on things. But
you like guns, Mark?
I
mean, you're from Chicago. You should be used to.
No, that's different. No, I did not grow up around guns, but the first time I ever shot a gun, I think, was this year at a clay shoot event.
Oh, wow.
And I loved it. It was a blast.
I think I saw something on LinkedIn about that with bunch of the train guys.
Oh yeah. So it was so much fun. I went thinking I'm not going to hit anything, and the first one I hit, it was I was so pumped up. I'm everyone around me is like, watch out, yeah. It was awesome. I had a lot of fun. So yeah, I didn't grow up around guns. I'm really uncomfortable.
Is that right?
It's not.
Do you have any guns in your house?
No.
I
shot a gun one time. What do you mean? Do I have guns in my house? No, I don't have guns in my house.
Do you want a gun in your house?
No,
I'll sell you one.
Now I feel like I need them now because no, it's not. I don't think maybe a pellet gun or something.
It's a great sport. So I got into.
Do you shoot pumpkins or animals or both? Not people often.
Actually, not people often, but I didn't grow up with any guns in the house either. That was something that my dad didn't want. So I was able to convince him. I got into hunting for a little while, did some goose hunting and deer hunting and stuff like that. So I've done that from time to time, but I'm not into it as much lately. But I really do enjoy clays as well. It's a lot of fun.
I want to do clays.
Yeah.
I want to get a nice shotgun. That's where you come in.
Yeah, I got a really basic pump that's the standard basic level, and it's a ton of fun. Yeah. Because you can shoot all kinds of different stuff out of it. You got the...
So what did you do to me that one time?
Okay, this is a good story. So we're shooting pumpkins in the back here. It's, I guess 2 years ago, and we're just shooting birdshot at it. I think I had a couple clays that we were throwing.
What was the caliber? It was 12?
It's a 12 gauge.
Okay.
And I wound up slipping him a slug, which is a solid
ball of lead.
It's a ball of lead that's shooting at the end of a gun. He doesn't know. I'm just feeding him ammo. He's shooting and shooting and shooting, and then he just goes, oh, boom, way back, and he's ow, my shoulder.
So it's totally ditzy. I would not have known that. Oh, yeah. It's a big difference.
It's a big kick. It's just the amount of weight.
Yeah, I guess it's the inertia.
Yeah,
did you hit what you were aiming at?
I hit it, but I was on the floor. It's my shoulder was bruised. Yeah. It's
you definitely got to be ready for it.
It hit hard. It hit really hard.
So when you hit a pumpkin, is it explode, or it's more it just goes through?
It kind of just goes through, especially that smaller shot. Yeah, it's just a couple little pinholes, and that's really it. No, and the slug is not gonna. It's not gonna. Did it?
I think it did.
I'm sure you're gonna claim you hit it, right?
Yeah, I definitely hit it.
It seems unlikely. That seems unlikely.
Well, so he's wicked with targets. He's a great shot with a 22.
So I was almost I went through. Prior to being married, prior to being involved in our church, I did these NRA matches. And they call them the silhouette matches. And what they are is you have 25, 50, 75, 100 yards, and you're shooting with a pistol. And then my pistol has this long rifle scope on it, so it's like a single shot.
It's the length of the gun.
Yes, the gun is like that long.
The gun's like 18 inches.
It's a two-handed gun.
And the scope is like 17 inches.
Yes.
The thing is huge.
Yes. It's the weirdest thing you've ever seen. But that's what everybody shot. So you had these 4 lines of targets. You had pigs, chickens, pigs, turkeys, rams. And so it was 25, 50, 75, 100 yards. And I'm up there with a pistol. And so you shot 10 on each line. So that's a perfect score would be 40 out of 40. I was in the 38 to 39 out of 40 every round. And I was almost, prior to, I was almost to a master class.
You sound a little cocky here.
I am a little cocky.
He was like NRA qualified.
Yes, NRA qualified, pistol. Even with rifle, even hunting rifle is like
And as you're thinking about maybe I should start getting a little close to his daughter, it never crosses your mind that the guy can hit.
It doesn't, because he can't hit anything that moves.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So you just know you're gonna zigzag. Like,
so for me, like in my experience, yeah, I'm planning this out. Every time I enter like the front door, I'm going zigzag, and then I knock.
That's hilarious.
No, but
that's perfect.
No, but in my experience, I had a buddy. I went to school in New York for about a year, and we did some duck hunting up there. And that was the first time I ever shot a firearm, and everything was moving. Like, we would shoot clays or we would shoot ducks. So that's what I got used to. And really, to this day, I'm really only good with either a clay shoot or shooting, geese or ducks. Like, that's what I feel. Anything that's moving, I'm comfortable with. But the target stuff with rifles, I'm terrible at.
How about like getting in a tree stand and shooting a deer? Like,
no, I
from
feel
100 yards,
I feel comfortable with my shotgun, like open sights. Like, I can shoot out to about 100 yards
with your shotgun.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, like I've got some deer at least at 75 with just a standard 12 gauge.
It's a deer slug, is what you're
just
using.
A deer slug. The same thing I was slipping in, for when I'm surprising you like that, but. Anyway, yeah, anything past 100, that's way pushing it. And this guy probably get hit out to like 200, probably with a higher.
As long as they
caliber.
Stay still.
Yeah.
What about like a bow? You guys bow hunt?
Is
that how you say it? Bow hunt?
Yeah. First time I took Corinne, we were in Rock State Park, or not in Rock State Park, but right outside of it. A friend from high school, he's got like 10 acres that we were hunting on. And first time I bring her in, we had a little fawn bed down right behind the stand. Like, just comes in, like, sits down. She's like, "Oh, it's so cute."
Like Bambi. Bambi came in.
Yeah. So it was really cool. It was pretty close. And then, I kid you not, she's like, "Ben, there's a deer over there." I'm like, there's no way she saw this before me. Like, there's not a chance. I look over, and it's like 20 yards away is a doe standing there. So we were in a 2-man stand. So we had to switch spots. We were able to do that when the deer's head was turned. And
really?
I was able to get it. I shot it. She helped me drag it out and everything else. And that was like the first time I ever brought her hunting. And we haven't gone much since, and I don't hunt as much as I did. But bow hunting is like another world. It is so intense. It's like you can shoot one with a gun, and it's like... that was pretty cool.
Buck fever.
But when you're that close, like, no matter what you have close, it's just so primal, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just something that it's a natural instinct. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm on the other end of that. So I've never been hunting at all, ever.
Yeah.
The only thing I've ever shot that was live was a squirrel that was up here in a tree that I shot probably at 100 yards, and it dropped, like, immediately. That's the only thing I've ever hunted. So I used to shoot bow. And I had this big Olympic stabilizer, Olympic scope, and would shoot those type of competitions. Like, I would love to watch. Like, my favorite thing on the Olympics was the archery segments because they. But
what do they call that with the skiing?
Oh,
that's the biathlon.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that because they're like out of breath.
It's unbelievable to think about. When you watch that. I mean, they're going all out. Yeah. Their heart rate's probably peaking at 190.
Yeah.
And then to be able to stop,
just sit there and
get your breathing under control.
Literally bouncing that dot all over the place.
Wow, it's crazy. Their conditioning has just got to be unreal.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, the fact they'll actually do that with 22. They call that, there's a specific type of rifle that they use. It's Anschutz. So they'll shoot these Anschutz rifles, 22 rifles, and they're all iron sights. But then they'll also do the bow. Like they'll do recurve with the stabilizer sits out 4 feet with a scope. Yeah, I just don't get it.
So just to point out, you guys are completely off the topic of bourbon and beer, but I do think
it's very manly. I think it fits.
It's a super manly topic, and I think your audience, depending on, I think adding guns and adding guns and hunting,
alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
You've got you've got everything covered. Red meat.
Yeah.
Bourbon and
brisket, potatoes. We got a lot of carbs.
When I brought my bow over here to shoot a few times before I took her hunting, and I borrowed one of his target shooting bows. First pullback, dead center, and I'm like, I look over at him, and I'm like, I'm buying this bow from you, but you built that whole thing, didn't you?
Yeah, I built it. Yeah. And honestly, like when I take that out to shoot, people don't like it because it sounds like a freaking shotgun.
Yeah, but for target, it's perfect.
For target, it's like
I'm so far behind you guys.
Well, you're gonna have to catch up.
You guys keep going. Let me finish this.
You gotta at least get it. I mean, you can dump it if you want.
I'm not dumping it. No, dude. And especially now that it's on. It's a permanent record.
Mark's a wuss.
And I know. You guys are gonna delete a lot of this, but there's no way I'm being recorded.
I'll delete the dumping part.
No.
Well, he already dumped it out in the beginning of the podcast. Yeah, it was all over the table.
But I licked it up, so. I don't know. This one I have a hard time with.
Yeah, I'm going to take a very small pour then.
You want to share my pour? Because I think I got a little too heavy.
You went for it there, man. What were you doing?
Can I share?
No.
Share? That's gross.
We barely know each other. Mine's not even empty here. I'm still finishing
these. We know each other well enough.
You're rushing me.
It's like double dipping.
Meanwhile, Abigail's up there watching a
How many years have we known each
rom-com. I don't know.
She's the real champ.
The thing is,
she's the MVP of the night right now. Taking one for the team.
Let's see how she manages the ride home, and then we'll decide. If she makes me walk.
Will she?
I don't know. How would I know?
I don't know.
Man. So when are we going to go all shoot clays? You want to go hit Lock Raven or something?
I would love to go, to be honest.
When you say hit Lock Raven, you can shoot things?
Yeah, so they have a range over there.
Oh, it's a range.
Yeah,
okay.
So they have the skeet, which comes side to side. I don't know what you guys shot.
We did a thing. We did a course.
Did you do like the sporting clays?
Yeah, sporting clays. Yeah. So you went to stations, and each station there was like a different setup. So like you'd have two things.
It's a blast.
It was really cool.
Did you hit any of the rabbits on the ground?
No.
Did they do any of those?
No. Everything was in the air.
I gotcha.
I went with the intention is I got to hit something, and I think I got like 15 or 20 out of. You did 50, maybe I got 20, but the dudes who were in the mid 40s.
Wow.
And which is just unreal because it's not like. I mean, you got one practice where you'd pull it and you'd see where it'd go, but that's it. And then each station was different, but it was so much fun. Like I did not expect it.
That's my favorite type of shooting by far.
Clays.
So and the rabbits across the ground are so hard. They never bounce the same, So they basically spin it so it's just rolling around the ground. And then a lot of times, I don't know how it was over there, but there's two typically at a station.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you might hit the rabbit on the ground first and then try to finish one up on the air. Sometimes they got them both coming out at the same time. It just depends on how the course is set up. But it gets real fun. And down on the Eastern Shore, they have like a bunch of places where you can do it. And those guys, they got like golf carts and stuff where they're driving around and shooting.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Like right up there at Hopewell, they'll go around with golf carts and they'll shoot clays, like an 18-hole course basically.
Yeah, I did that with his dad. I think it was 2 years ago. It was a lot of fun. He had a turkey gun, which when you hunt turkeys, you have the tightest choke possible. So basically, all the pellets, like with clays, they're very widespread. So it has a better chance of hitting it. And then with the turkey, you want it as tight as you can to be able to get right on the spot where you want to hit. And so he's trying to hit these clays like 40 yards out with this turkey. Like he's hitting maybe a foot.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's like it's that tight of a window versus maybe like a 3x3 spread or something like that.
Is he getting the clays?
I mean, he got a few, but it was tough, on such a tight gun.
I was one. So with what we were using, that's about a 3x3.
And that's completely made up right now. I don't know what it actually is. The spread actually is.
I was assuming it was pretty wide. If I was hitting anything,
it is fairly wide, and especially the farther out you go. But you got to factor in like there's only a certain amount of pellets in there. So you might.
Do you have to hit the clay with more than one pellet for it to?
If you get one little nick, that's all that matters. If you see it, if it even like changes direction, that's enough for them to mark it down.
Is that right?
Like sometimes you'll have one little pellet hit. And it'll chip a tiny bit, and as long as you see that happen, that's all that matters.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
It doesn't have to be disintegrated by any means.
I could do really well at that.
Hit it with 122.
That's right. I'll hit it with 122. Yeah. As long as it's not.
I don't
moving.
know how we haven't done that yet. Because you show off every time we're out here shooting 22s, but I haven't got you out to shoot clays once.
Well, bring some clays. We'll do it.
I have them in the garage right now.
We'll bring a shotgun.
Is this a handmade picture too?
That's Target, bro.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's handmade.
This is the
We
bourbon.
don't buy anything from department stores.
The bourbon is starting to
Everything in my house is Target.
Yeah. That piano's handmade. This table's handmade. These microphones are handmade.
Do you? Oh, I didn't. I knew I didn't want to go out there.
That's all right.
That I meant to go less than
No,
a
you're
shot.
good.
Which
That's a shot.
oh yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
You're perfect. You're becoming a master.
As a newlywed, there's a lot you're gonna learn about the world, but there's a couple things that couples tend to have issues with, and shopping and money is in that list.
Yeah.
I think Target has gotten in the way of many marriages.
Agreed.
I think I gotta run to Target to get something.
It's the same with Amazon.
Oh,
Amazon.
Amazon's another story. Amazon's
It's a daily occurrence.
it's like crack.
Horrible.
In our house, like if Amazon doesn't show up, like we're upset.
Something's wrong.
Like what's happening here?
Yeah.
And then if the package isn't for me, I'm like really upset. Like why?
I literally spent.
On the ride home.
So
what have you guys been watching? A rom-com?
Yeah.
No, we watched A Christmas Story Christmas.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
We've been
Without
down there that long.
all right. So to close this thing out, we've been like an hour and a half now.
Like 4 hours.
So to close this thing
between
out,
3 and 4 hours.
Wait a minute.
We're gonna have to release a
Corinne.
part 1.
Does your
and
shirt
2.
say wifey? I need to know.
Yes.
Real?
Corinne, tune the ukulele.
No, we can't. What song are you gonna play and sing to close it out?
I'm not gonna play.
Can you play a Christmas song?
We do a Christmas song for us.
Just something.
It's all tuned up.
She tunes by ear.
We wish you a Merry Christmas, maybe?
Yeah.
I need the chords for
She needs some
you print it out?
chords. Yeah. Do this on the spot.
Could do It's the Most Wonderful Time
Yeah.
of the Year, like the band.
Yeah, we were watching the movie. She's like, I think this was the song I heard last night.
Here, speak a little louder. All right, so this closes out our podcast. So,
You gotta
Corinne,
get
I'll
closer
just
with the
wing it.
microphone.
just wing it, Corinne. Just wing it.
No pressure. I mean, this is a world-class podcast.
What am I singing?
Alright, sign us off.
Whatever you want to sing, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Here's Corinne on the ukulele.
I don't want to be on the phone.
Whatever you want to sing or play, I don't. We'll cut it out. We'll make that sound good.
Jingle bells. That's
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
want to say we just spent an hour and a half together, and the last 15 seconds was the highlight. And not by a little bit. So why don't we close it out? That was amazing.
Yeah, so do Jingle Bells again with the mic like right
no,
here.
that was better. That was better than anything that just happened.
So,
where were you? It sounded great.
I am a sound engineer.
Shut this thing down. It's over. That was beautiful. I loved it.
All right, we're done.
We're going home.
Hey, wait, hold on.
See you later. We got to do a call
one
out.
more. We got the ending here.
What's the
It's where we say we were done and we cleaned the glasses.
Oh,
all right.
Don't drop it in the water.
Ready?
So hey guys, here we go. We're done.
All right.
All right. See ya guys. See you next week.
Next week.
Oh, Mark, you're coming over next week too.
That was great.